Okay, so in this video we're doing the Microsoft Excel business application past paper questions. So in business applications, Excel in particular, there's two common errors, right? Actually, the most common error is this error over here, NA. But they are testing you this over here because you must know it, right? Now, when you get this error value, you might be thinking what value means. It basically means the number which you're referencing does not exist. So it does not exist. So let's say if I reference a grid reference, for example, if I reference a grid reference A75, and if A75 doesn't exist in the workbook, it's going to give me a hashtag value error. So hashtag value is when the number doesn't exist. Now, looking at A, right, the first answer. Now, just for clarification, the specification of the not exact match parameter is false and no exact match is found. This will give you an NA. So this is the most common one, NA. Where's NA? Yeah, hashtag NA. That's a very, very, very common error in the what is called Excel, right? So it's this. But value, the number doesn't exist. Now I will say the answer will be A. Why, you may ask? Index number is less than 1. Now if you know your formula of the Vlookup function, index number is the second last thing which you need to do. Index number means what column it is. So if you have a column less than 1, you can't have a column less than 1 because you either have 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4 column. If you're having a column less than 1, that's decimals. That doesn't exist. That column doesn't exist in the workbook. So therefore it displays a false value. 29. Referencing. As soon as you see referencing, they're talking about what's it called, absolute referencing. You learn this in ISTN, right, a lot of times. You use like a dollar symbol in terms of a number, like that or something. But yeah, it's a dollar sign that we use, so it's dollar. Now in the VLOOKUP function, the lookup type is true, and the value in the first column of the lookup table are not in ascending order. So whenever the values are not in ascending order and you're using a true as the VLOOKUP function, you're going to have an error when you try and look up for the function or the particular data, right? This data will always be NA. So NA. Which of the following is the correct syntax for a VLOOKUP function? Now you just have to know this function, how it look. It look like this, right? The lookup value, table array, and this is the index I was talking about in the range lookup. If you never watched my video on that formula, watch it. They retorts the following statements about pivot tables, and pivot tables are true. Pivot charts. A pivot table is never a standalone report. That's false. It is a standalone report. You might think what it means. A standalone basically means it can stand by itself. So it doesn't have to be attached to anything. That report is sufficient to be by itself alone. It can stand alone. That's true, actually. It's never a standalone. That's true. That's false. This thing is never. It is a standalone. B. A pivot table report is never a stand. That's true. Now, the pivot chart requires a pivot table. You see, it needs a pivot table. Because it needs something, it can't stand alone. A pivot table report has an associated pivot table report. That's correct. So this is, both of them are true. Because they do have an associated pivot table report, and therefore they're not standalone. So the answer will be B and C. Yeah. When recording a macro, you're doing a recording to do a repetitive task. I did a video on that too. The name must be, so the macro name, it's simple. If you're gonna name the macro, it has to start with a letter, right? It has to, letter. There's nothing else. You're naming it, so it has to be a letter. In Excel, which of the following are the reasons that it can result in incorrect calculations? Number 1, if the cell reference in the formula are protected. That's false. Even though it's protected, it can still do calculations. That means by password, it can still do calculations. When you lock a cell, protect it, you lock it for the reason because people won't change the formula, so it doesn't affect the calculation. When Excel application is corrupted, it won't, right? Corrupted, it's very highly unlikely that Excel will be corrupted with the database. When a formula is incorrectly calculating the result, that's true. When a formula is getting data from incorrect result, that's true. If the formula is not using all data required calculation to calculate the result, that's true. So this is your answer. So these three things. The procedure that enables the creator of Excel to limit the values entered to any cell. So if any cell you have a validation, that's, oh, I just gave the answer, yeah. So whenever you sell, you can change like what, I also did a video on this, what it needs to be put in the cell. So you're limiting it, so it always will be data validation. That's the thing you can do in Excel. Okay, so this is an error message. Now, whenever you get this message, they're asking you what's this box called. This box is called an error alert. You might be thinking, error alert. Might be thinking what this actual sentence is. This actual sentence is called an input message, right? But we're not dealing with that now. We're dealing with an error alert because it's a box. Which of the following statements regarding importing data from a text file using Excel is true? Now, this is a bit confusing, but you must select the most correct one, although the others may be correct. The most correct one would be D. Although you can argue the others are correct, the thing is they want like the actual like correct one. So a text file can be created in another program, can be opened as an Excel workbook. So in the notes they show you how a text file, it can be a PDF, it can be another file, it can be whatever, but somehow you can put it into Excel. That's what basically the statement means. It can be in Excel workbook. You can basically convert any file to an Excel. That's the most common correct one. So yeah, so that's this paper, right?